Alright guys, fish aren't really cooperating today, at least not the bigger fish. So, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down this dam and fish the Ned some and try to talk a little bit about how I fish it. A lot of guys have been asking me about that, and I'm by no means an expert, but I can give you a little bit of an insight as to how I fish it anyway and what's worked for me, and hopefully you can take away something for that and you know, add it to your game. All right, here we go. Okay, so first off, here's the setup. It's a spinning rod, 7-foot medium action, or medium power, extra fast action. It's a 3,000 size reel, a good drag. It's 12-pound braid to a 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. And it's a 1/15 ounce Z-Man. I can't remember what this is called. This is their extra wide gap version anyway, so it's a weedless one. There's a lot of weeds in this lake, so that's when I will use this particular one a lot of times. I'll also use this one sometimes when it seems like they're getting off on just the regular open hook jig head. I don't know why, but for some reason they'll stay on usually. So, and that's just a PB&J Z-Man. Alright, so we're just going to cast it out there. This is a shallow water bait, guys, alright? Generally, at least in Kansas for sure it is. That's kind of where it got its start. And guess what? I think that fish got it on the fall. And it's a decent sized fish. Well, I'm not sure exactly how big this fish is. I don't think he's that big. He's fighting good. When I'm fighting him like this with a spinning rod, I'm always trying to keep pressure on him at all times. If he comes up, I lift the rod up. If he goes down, I bring the rod down. And then I have the drag set, see? Whoa, see, he's kind of messed with me there. There we go. He's an alright fish. He's not super special, but not huge, but it just goes to show you don't catch small fish all the time. I mean, he'd be 15 inches, he'd be a keeper. So, in any case, he got that on the drop. Bait must have been a little worn out already, guys, because I'm having to get a new one ready. So, anyway, Z-Man Zinker Z. Let it down just a little bit. Now that extra wide gap one, you don't have to put it in there very far. Just get a little bit of plastic. Slide it up there. There's a keeper there that you have to push it over. There we go. On this extra wide gap, you don't always have to use super glue, but I prefer to. It just kind of keeps the bait straight. Keeps me from having to mess with it so many times. Hold it on there for 15-20 seconds. There we go. I use that Loctite gel control super glue, by the way. Just works better. Doesn't get all over the place as much. All right, we're ready to go. Don't panic if you get hung up. This bait comes out pretty easy. Just give it a little slack, pop it. Pop your line just a little bit, and usually it'll come out. Just because it's such a light jig head. Do the cast, let it drop, and pick up on it, see if there's one on there. Just like last time, he just picked it, he got it on the way down. So we got some stuff on there, and we're just kind of, we're going to keep it on the bottom here. Whoop, there's a little bite. Always fishing the net on the bottom for the most part. I don't usually, I'm not swimming it very far off the bottom if I am swimming it. I'm going to cast it out there, let it drop. It'll spiral a little bit on the way down. Not a lot, but a little bit. That sometimes gets them to bite. Pick up on it, see if I got one. And then we just kind of do this lift and glide thing, guys. We just picture the bait, it's on the bottom. It sits straight up and down like that. So when you pick it up, the head comes up, and then it glides, and then comes to the bottom again. I don't pick it up too much because I don't want it to get too far off the bottom. But then it kind of glides again. That's one of the retrieves. It's probably the one I use more often than any other one. So that's one retrieve. Cast it out there just a little ways off the bank. Let it hit the bottom. And then just kind of lift and let it glide. Or lift and let it glide. See, it's on the bottom. It's getting stuck in some stuff right now. A little bit. Now, if you're fishing like areas that have a lot of rocks, sometimes you may have to move it a little more often so it doesn't get snagged quite as much. A little bit of weeds on there. Some more weeds. One thing with this lake is there's a lot more weeds and sometimes a little bit harder to fish. This bait. See, there. I never felt that bite, but I kept reeling it, and it still couldn't feel it. Still couldn't feel it. So when I still couldn't feel it after reeling it that many times, I was like, well, I'm gonna jerk. And you know, a little fish, granted, but it's a fish. But you know, I just kept reeling and I couldn't feel it. And you know, like they say, hook sets are free. With the Ned Rig, that's pretty important. Because you're not going to feel a lot of the bites, like I said. You'll feel weight, or you won't feel anything. Sometimes you'll feel a tap. But But it's also the nature of braid, slack braid with no tension on it, that you're not going to feel it. Lift and glide. Lift and glide. I'm picturing what the bait's doing down there. There's a bite. But he's not on there. I reeled. I was able to feel my bait again right away. So there's no fish on there. We'll make another cast. Gone to fishing out just a little bit deeper. Getting a few more bites. Oh, might have been a bite there. Nope. Sometimes when I want to keep it really close to the bottom, I'll drag it sideways like that. Almost not a glide then, it's just kind of a drag. And it might glide a little bit at the end. See it? Nope. Nope. Thought something took it and took off, but no. Just because I'm fishing in this area doesn't mean that we're relegated to fishing the Ned in areas like this on a dam or whatever where there's no cover and open water. It's not like that. You can fish it in, you know, around laydowns and stuff like that, wood, bluff walls, flats, points, of course. Lots of options with it. There we go again. Oh, didn't hook up that time. Doesn't happen that often. Here's a good one to end on, guys. Caught him around that lay down there, brush pile. That's all I got for you guys on the Ned. If you like to catch fish, like all kinds of fish actually, I've caught a 20-pound flathead on it. I've caught a 24-inch walleye. You name it. Crappies, obviously bluegills, green sunfish, largemouth, smallmouth, and everything in between. But if you like to catch fish and you're not fishing a Ned Rig, you're doing yourself a disservice. Let me put it that way. So it can be a lot of fun. It can be great for kids. Something that they're going to get bit on that you don't have to keep re-rigging all the time with a new worm or a new minnow or whatever. So, and for you bass fishermen out there, it can be a very, very effective tool, especially when you're struggling, or especially when you're targeting smallmouth. So give it a shot, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments. All right.